Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Texas Road. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, who survived eating the corn dog, by the way. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking. Get your questions in as well. We're going to take a bunch of those here in a little bit. But first, let's talk. Both Sark and Mark Stoops met with the media yesterday, guys, and I'm actually going to start with Sark here. And here's what he had to say about Kentucky.
The Kentucky Wildcats, Mark Stoops, ton of respect for Coach Stoops and the job that he's done, not only at Kentucky for 13 years, but his job as a defensive coordinator at Arizona with his brother Mike. I've gone against these guys for a long time. They've got a real style in how they want to play the game. They want to play great defense. They want to minimize the explosive plays. They want to run the football and then create explosives off of the run game. And they do a very good job of that. They've played very good defense all year. They run the football really well. And as we know, playing on the road in the SEC at night, it's going to be a tough environment. And so we've got to buckle up. We got to be ready to go. This is a tough challenge. You know, the one SEC home game they've had, I believe, was Ole Miss at home, and that was a one-score game down to the end, and they're a top 5 team in the country. So we know we got to work cut out for us. Ton of respect for that program, but we got to be focused on us. We got to be enamored with us and what we need to do to get ourselves prepared to play.
Interesting stuff. I mean, Jerry, you got to remember this. Remember when Steve Sarkisian was hired, and we all thought it was being reported that Mike Stoops would be part of the Texas staff, because he was on staff at Alabama with Steve Sarkisian under Nick Saban as an analyst, and a lot of people thought that one of the Stoops brothers might be the linebacker coach at Texas, but ended up being. He did not come. Texas hires Pete Kwiatkowski instead, and I think Texas made out for the better on the record for that. But obviously, the one thing that I took from that, and I know you did as well, is the familiarity he has with the Stoops-style defense going back to his days at Washington and USC. Not just playing Brent Venables, who is a Bob Stoops disciple of sorts, in Red River, but prior to this, also played Mark last year in Austin. So there's some familiarity between these two coaches and their coaching styles.
Yeah, there is, and I think my big thing is Kentucky fans will care about football for 2 more weeks, right? They do have a basketball scrimmage Friday night, then the football game they'll just take in Saturday because Arch is coming to town. Then in 2 weeks they won't care anymore. They'll be on the basketball, but it's going to be a really good environment for Texas to play in Saturday night. And I know Blake has a graphic here. And look, I want to say this before we look at this, I want to be clear on something. Kentucky's not as talented or as good a team as they once were under Mark Stoops. They had some 10-win, 9-win seasons under Mark Stoops. That's not where this program is, but they play people close. This is a team. They're physical. They're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to make it a low possession game. I put up our game week thread on ontexasfootball.com. If you go there, go watch you'll see the issues for Kentucky. Now go watch the condensed version ESPN game of South Carolina at South Carolina. South Carolina's front really got after Kentucky. Kentucky they're going to try to run the football, play ahead of the chains, condense the game. That works well at home, better than it does the road if you don't pass protect well. But they've played some really good people within 10 points, ranked teams every single year. So odds are, Bobby, this will be, unless Texas just comes out and plays their absolute best game of the season, this is going to be a second half game and maybe a fourth quarter game because that's just where Kentucky's been at home.
I think that, plus that's where the SEC is.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think these are all going to be third and fourth quarter games. I mean, people looking for blowouts, this ain't the Big 12, baby. I mean, look, it's just it doesn't work that way. Auburn was 0-2 in the SEC.
Yeah.
Were they not? Auburn was 0-2 in SEC. Georgia comes to town, and it's a fourth quarter game. This is much more, I'm trying to say this the best way I can. This is much more like an NFL style league.
Yeah.
You know, you play hard, kind of back and forth until the third and fourth quarter, and then the better team wins.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's through attrition or, you know, identity or what have you, it's much more like NFL games where you go deep into these contests. Jerry, take us through this list that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, look, last year, this year was Ole Miss 30-23. Look, we'll see how good Ole Miss really is. But Georgia last year 13-12, right? And everybody watched that game because it was leading up to the Texas-Georgia game. Alabama got them 2 years ago. But after that, I mean, look, Georgia has never blown out Kentucky up there. And look, not never, but in recent years, 2022, that's a national championship team that won by 10, right? And I think part of it, too, is it's impossible to emotionally get up for all these games. And Kentucky's just not one Georgia's going to get up for. That's the road game. That's why they're called trap games, right? Kentucky is everybody's trap game on the road because Kentucky just hasn't been that team. It's not because you normally probably played a really good team in front of it, or you're going to play a really good team after it. So there's that human emotion part of it too. But Kentucky also plays that physical, low possession style game, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do to Texas. They're just going to try to grind this thing, grind this clock, try to get into the late fourth quarter, put the pressure on Arch Manning and the Texas offense. That's going to be their game plan. It'll be interesting. If Texas first down run defense for Texas is huge in this game, if they can control, remember they're starting running back, by the way, Seth McGowan from Mesquite Petite, who was a highly ranked guy that went to Oklahoma, got in trouble off the field. He went to New Mexico, got a second chance. He month in jail, got out of jail, got a second chance at New Mexico. Really talented player. He's Kentucky's running back, starting running back now. Dante Dow's their other running back. They got two quality backs there, but it's first down run defense. Their quarterback will throw it to you if you get him behind the chains. Now, he did it at South Carolina. South Carolina, Dylan Stewart was all over him, and South Carolina really pressured him. And I think Texas can do the same thing. So if they win on first downs defensively, it's going to make Kentucky's job much tougher on offense. But that's going to be the key down is first down offense for Kentucky. If they can stay ahead of the chains against Texas, they can grind out a lower possession game. Not win, I'm just saying grind it into a lower possession.
Let's see here. We're going to take a listen to Mark Stoops here in just a moment and also take a look at the line and weather. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Texas Road.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick Vavro and his team with the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt. They're able to complete road building in any high-profile environment on an ongoing basis. That is TexasRoad.com. Rick and his team also have a bar out in Jonestown where Rick and his family reside. It is called the Lone Star Bar. Rick, I was talking to him over the last weekend, and he said that he wanted me to remind everybody that that bar serves their beer cold, 27 degrees at the Lone Star Bar. That is Rick Vavro, his team at Texas Road, as well as Lone Star Bar. We appreciate them for their sponsorship of On Texas Football.
All right, guys. Well, first, let's look at the line. And I guess it'd help if I removed that one and added the correct one here. But here is the weather during the day. It's going to be 80. At night, though, 59. Occasional rain showers, a 60% chance of rain right now. By the way, everyone complained about the weather place I was using last week or the week before. So we switched. We switched this week for it. So if this one's wrong, I don't know what to tell y'all. But the line opened at 13.5, fellas. Right now, you can get anywhere from 11.5 all the way up to 12.5.
Well, the key there is the moon sets at 5:35 p.m. So
an
hour before kickoff. Yeah, the moon set time. Now, a line obviously is sticking at 11.5, 12.5. I'm sure some people have got it 11.5. But yeah, I mean, look, it may be a little rainy there, but that's again, this is. Bobby, you're gonna be up there for this game. I've never been to this is one place I've never been to a game. Have you ever been to a game in Lexington before?
No, I've been to Lexington many times.
Yeah, first game there. Some people in the chat, I've never been in the stadium. I don't know what their stadium's truly like. But again, it's gonna be maybe a fall weather game for Texas.
Well, it will be a fall weather game, and it's also, you got to remember, it's also Eastern time up there. So if you're local and you try to go to the game at 6, it's not going to be started yet.
No.
You're gonna have to wait an hour. But long story short, I thought the line was interesting, and I think the chance of precipitation is interesting. I mean, 11.5, 12.5 points is, to Jerry's point earlier, is a lot of points to give given Kentucky's history at home of playing teams relatively tight. So we'll see where that ends. But the idea that there may be rain showers is a little concerning, obviously, because frankly, Texas had until OU, Texas had not run the ball successfully. And we don't know yet if Cedric Baxter is going to be back this week. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Hey, before we finish up this, I need to talk about something I wrote earlier this morning. I don't know if you've those of you that are subscribers to On Texas Football and read my morning posts. I opened the whole thing with the fact that there are some guys now, Jerry and Blake, that have played 4 games and are contemplating whether or not they're going to continue on or potentially transfer or take their red shirt. Okay. We were alerted of one person that is taking their red shirt late last night. I'm not going to put that player's name
and
out.
that is to transfer.
And some people are just going to take their red shirt and sit. Some people are red shirting with the intent to transfer. This player is red shirting with the intent to transfer. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not talking about guys like Trey Owens, who've already, things like that have kind of been out there, and some others. But there is a player that has played a little bit this year. I would not call it a huge loss for the Texas Longhorns or anything like that. But y'all need to know that some of those decisions are being made behind the scenes. And a lot of people immediately are saying NATO and all that stuff. That's not who I'm talking about, even though he may or may not be doing that. That's not who I'm talking about here. It's someone totally different. So we'll see how it all goes. But it is that time of year, Jerry, where guys have to make those decisions. I haven't heard of one yet that is a real issue at this point.
There we go. All right. Let's go back to Stoops for a moment, fellas. We got 2 clips for y'all. The first one, just him talking about Texas.
We know what you're getting with Texas. A very good football team, very well coached. Ton of respect for Coach Sark. I've known him for a long time. We've gone against each other all the way back to the days out west when I was at Arizona and he was at USC. And always have a ton of respect for him and the way he calls plays. Texas is Texas. It's a typical team. They're very, very good at every level. Good on offense, defense, special teams. Had a couple of tough games this year, like most of us have. And, they responded with a very big win in a big rivalry this past week. So they're playing very well, and it'll be another great challenge for us.
Yeah, what's interesting for Kentucky is they had an off week. When you looked at the injury report 2 weeks ago, they were the most injured team. They got a week off going into the Texas game, see if they got healed up at all. But Bobby talked about these guys have a lot of history against each other. And you look, Texas blew Kentucky out last year too, by the way. So again, well, I don't think Kentucky has a ton of talent as much talent as they used to have, but they're still going to have a mindset going into this game. It's what they'll use for motivation. But a lot of history there. What it means this week, I don't think it means anything. Honestly, I think if Texas goes in and executes and plays ahead of the chains, their talent will take over in this game. I think the key for Texas in this game is to find consistency and not be the team that does this, and find consistency. Go on the road and not replicate all the pre-snap penalties that you had in Gainesville after getting past that a lot last week in Dallas in the Cotton Bowl. Take it on the road, execute on the road in the SEC. I think that's when you see consistent growth. So this game is all about Texas. When they get on that plane, when they get off that plane, the mentality they're going to have, how much confidence has been in belief has been gained, how much improvement where there'll be, Bobby, an execution on the road and playing ahead of the chains on the road. Because if Texas does that, I mean, look, Kentucky's not as talented of a team as they used to be. So, and that's just a reality for people. They don't, and even last year they had a first-round corner who made tremendous plays in that game.
They had a big time defensive tackle last year.
Yep.
To your point, I think we could talk about the game itself, but I think that the issue to me that is different with this Kentucky squad than previous Mark Stoops squads is a lot of previous Mark Stoops squads had some first and second, even third rounders sprinkled in the upper classes.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't have as many of those as they have had. So it makes them, you would think, slightly less dangerous. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what Jerry and I are trying to get across here when we talk about it's not because Kentucky still, they recruit. It's very good. They recruit deep South. They got players.
Ohio, tough kids.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not trying to say that. What I mean is there was a time there where it looked like Mark Stoops in Kentucky might turn the corner into being every bit as good as Tennessee.
He was on a plane to be the next A&M coach.
Yes, exactly. And so there is a reason for that. And his ability to identify talent, particularly on defense, is part of that. Kentucky did lose Baron Brown in the offseason, really athletic kick returner. He's now at LSU. So you think that maybe some of their punch got taken away, but we'll see. I mean, I tell you, Mark, the thing about a Stoops coach team, whether it's Mike Stoops, Bob Stoops, or Mark Stoops, they're going to play hard and they're going to play defense.
Yeah.
So get ready for that, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, so they have some familiar players to Texas fans on their offense. Seth McGowan, the running back, obviously is from Mesquite Petite, same high school as Malik Jefferson, signed with Oklahoma. Texas recruited him. I think he picked Oklahoma over Stanford at the time, got in trouble. I think spent 3 months in jail, then ended up at New Mexico, had a really good season. Now he's at Kentucky and is their leading back. And, he's a guy that may have a chance to play professional football in some level. He was really good. I saw him in high school. Their best wide receiver is Kendrick Law from Shreveport Captain or Shreveport Bird. A guy that Texas wanted badly, picked Alabama over Texas and LSU out of high school, transferred from Alabama to Kentucky. He's their leading wide receiver. They're going to have some familiar guys. The quarterback that's taken over for Calzada, who signed with A&M, transferred from Incarnate Word. That didn't last very long. Was the kid that came off the bench and played well as a true freshman against Texas last year. Now, if you watch the replay of the South Carolina game from a few weeks ago, Dylan Stewart lived in his rib cage in that game, and he was throwing the ball up for grabs. So I think Texas can do the same in this game with their defense. It could be a Brad Spence game, a Colin Simmons game here, because Kentucky they're going to be better run blockers on the offensive line than they are pass pro guys. That's what's shown up on tape so far this year. That's why first down defense is so good. But they're going to have some familiar names for Texas fans out there. Barian Brown was a big loss because he's also a great kick returner for them. So they lost Malik Harrison, the first-round pick, or Maxwell Harrison, the first-round corner, Deion Walker. Barian Brown was probably their best playmaker off that group. But they're going to have some familiar faces out there. And let's see, Texas just has to go – they just have to go execute. They have to have a carryover from Oklahoma to Lexington, Kentucky.
We're going to have Bob Shipley joining us here in just a moment. But one other video I wanted to play for y'all. Yesterday, Stoops was asked a lot about Arch Manning multiple times throughout his press conference. And here's a couple of his answers.
Arch is you see a very, very good football player that's getting better, each and every game, more comfortable, but a guy that just really will wow you, with certain plays. I think simple things. I mean, you watch this last game, and I want to say it was a 4-point game backed up. Oklahoma got great pressure on him. He evades the pressure and throws a strike. He did that time and time again. Then, on the first touchdown pass in the pocket, didn't move, had a good clean pocket, delivers a touchdown pass, so he's one of those guys that can make all the throws, in rhythm and on time, or, buying time, because he's a good athlete. And he throws very good on the run. I just think, it is what it is. I mean, I can't speak for Arch or, that, but he didn't ask for any of that. I mean, everything that I could see and hearing from him is he's just a young man putting his head down, trying to get better. And I think a lot of that is unfair, and it is what it is. He's not, he understands that. I don't need to tell him anything that he hasn't heard from his famous uncles and fathers and all that. But, he's just a young man getting better with every rep, and you could see the confidence in him. And why wouldn't you be confident? He's a very good football player.
Yeah.
I love to hear other coaches kind of confirm what we've been saying, because, and we're going to bring in a coach now to talk about it. Coach Bob Shipley,
Morning,
welcome. Bob. Good morning, buddy.
Morning, guys. How are y'all doing?
Good. You up and at 'em this morning?
Absolutely.
Hey, what did you think of what Mark Stoops said there? You're a coach. The idea that all these ideas and issues foisted upon a player, they can even see it from afar. It's not even internal to the Texas building. It's everywhere. These coaches see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I appreciate him saying that. It's things that we've said, on OTF or it's way before the season. Art, all this hype, Arch didn't ask for any of that. And it's really good for other people to see that too, that haven't kept up with the hype train and don't know that, hey, this isn't a kid that's beating his chest and saying, I'm going to be the next great, Manning or whatever. He just wants to play ball and just wants to, he's been patient and he's waited his time. I appreciate him saying that. I agree with what he said. And I think we're seeing a guy who probably didn't have enough experience under his belt as we hoped he had, but he's certainly getting it now. And I think, I think we're just going to see, Arch move his train his own way and at his own speed, at his own time. And I think he's turned the tracks and is heading down a good straight line.
Hey, Coach, I talked to you and Coach Irwin yesterday on Lunch with the Coach. And one of the things y'all both talked about that I loved, and I actually wrote about it this morning on Texas football, is y'all were talking about how with Arch scrambling and his success buying time to throw, even against Florida when he was just, I'm getting the what beat out of him. He did it successfully again against Oklahoma. You and Coach Irwin were talking about, hey, this is where these wide receivers need to really be working and finding soft spots. Well, y'all both said, hey, look, some of the unsung heroes of the game were the receivers, because they did exactly what y'all were talking about. And y'all both brought this up, and I think it's awesome. You think that's going to get better over time because they're going to do more of it. And they're going to get a sense for what Arch can do, what he can't do, where he can be. What did you think you saw, and kind of in your mind's eye, where is that going, and what does it mean for the Texas offense going forward?
Yeah, I think Coach Irwin really kind of hit the nail on the head yesterday. When he was talking about Arch, and he's talking about the fact that probably had the best pocket scrambling technique and just seemed as natural as any quarterback he's ever seen at the University of Texas. And that's saying a lot, because he's seen a lot of quarterbacks at the University of Texas. Yeah. But he feels like that Arch is feeling more comfortable back there and doing it correctly in a way that he hasn't ever seen at Texas. And so I thought, wow, that says an awful lot for Arch, for Coach Irwin to say that. But I think he's right, and I think he's just going to continue to grow in that area, and just continue to put his game together. And you know what, guys, we talked about this last week on one of the live streams. It seems like that. We said offense needs to define itself because we don't know who in the heck we were as an offense. And it seems like that we have come to the point where, okay, it looks to me like our coaches are starting to figure this thing out, and really, a tough pill to swallow, but this is who we are offensively up front. And, we don't have the, Matthew Golden. We don't have, the guys that break these plays wide open from just a quick little screen. So this is who we are. It feels like we're becoming more comfortable with who we are. And I think that plays better into what Arch Manning does. I just felt like that. I just wondered watching him during the game. He was like, man, I'm sure. I mean, he still had a lot of pressures, but It's like, man, I'm not getting my face planted every snap. I could get used to this.
Yeah. But you look, and for those that we talked about a lot, for those that don't know, I thought everybody's like, well, he didn't play on a good team. He didn't play against good competition in high school. But one thing I always told people about Arch is, and I think this is a big thing for quarterbacks, the guys that play on the perfect teams and the perfect pockets and the shotgun and throw their first read 99% of the times because the coaching's so great. And Garrett Gilbert had a huge adjustment as a quarterback coming from perfect pocket situation, first read always open. That's not really playing quarterback. Arch played under duress in high school because they were the most talented team on the field, maybe 3 out of every 12 games. And I say 12 because they went probably 2 rounds deep in the playoffs. 3 out of every 12, maybe 4. That's it. They were very, very rarely the most talented team out there. So those guys have to play under duress. They have to. They understand how to move, maneuver, and play in the pocket. And I'm not going to sit here and say Archie had it all planned because he knew Isidore Newman wasn't going to be a great team when Peyton and Eli, the same guys, went through there and played under duress as well, even though their teams may have been a little more talented back then. But there's something to be said for that, for quarterbacks that don't live in perfect pockets from middle school through high school, Coach. And actually, they're used to seeing things in their peripheral, right? Now, if it's clean shots like Florida had and it was turnstile, then that's not – no quarterback's really going to survive that. Maybe Lenore Sellers can spin out of that a few times, but that's hard to do. But, Coach, I want to ask you this. What you guys look for more than anything is consistency, right? You want to see your guys be consistent and maybe slowly ascend and get consistently better. This has not been the Texas team this year to this point. What are you looking for headed into this week? Because now it's about, can you consistently keep ascending the rest of the season? What is it you're looking for headed into this game Saturday?
Well, first of all, we're not back. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of people that are very easily confused by a good game equaling we're back, and honestly, it makes us all look bad, but
yeah.
Hey, the Aggies do a lot of that themselves too. So anyway, but it is, as we said, it is a turn in the right direction. And so I feel like that Arch called his best game. I feel like Arch had a good feel for what his players could do against that defense. This was a highly ranked team. This was not, we all know that this was not a bad football team. But we've seen this before too. And then for some unknown reason, the next week we scratch our head and go, gosh, Sark, I thought we were getting everything together and figured it out. And now all of a sudden, where did that go? So we have to find some consistency in who we are as an offense, scheme-wise. And I think we've taken steps. I'm hoping we've taken steps. I'm hoping that's not just a one-off deal where Oklahoma runs its defense, so this is how we're going to. And it wasn't a great statistical game, per se, but it's a step in the right direction towards what our team can do. Now it comes to this. It comes down to that culture stuff that we've been talking about.
Yes.
And it comes down to the leadership in that locker room. It comes down to the maturity in that locker room. And it was really great to hear Sark say yesterday that, as y'all mentioned, every game is a conference championship level game. Okay. And so the coaches can preach that until they're blue in their face. They have, and they'll continue to do that. But until the players, and they very well may be doing this at this point, until they start holding each other accountable for their practice, for their film time, for jacking around in meeting room, all the things that can distract a team.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I've ever heard any of that happen. I absolutely haven't. But I'm just saying a player-led team that is mature and that understands the level of intensity that we have to play with every week. And we're going to see where we are as a football team in that department this week. Because as you guys talked about earlier, Kentucky every week is a trap game, because it's like I was trying to explain to my wife about football now. I try, the old simple-minded Bob, I'm like, well, see, look, a gravel lot, and there's piles of gravel everywhere. And somebody comes and smooths them all off. Now, they've leveled it all out, and that's what's happening with college football, obviously, through the NIL and the transfer portal. The talent level is getting evened out across the country, even at lower teams Alabama, Georgia, Texas, A&M can't take all of them. And so you're seeing teams that are competing. And as you said, you were saying a while ago, Jerry, playing, I think it was Jerry's playing. This is going to be a third and fourth quarter game. That's just, or maybe Bobby said that. I don't remember who said it, but
we're one in the same, Coach. We're one in the same.
Yeah, but it's going to be that way. Vanderbilt, it's going to be that way. Yep. There's just parity. It's just the talent level is spread out enough, and it's not being stockpiled in a half dozen universities anymore. And so the level of maturity that this team has, not the coaches, the players, and the level of accountability they want to hold their teammates to is going to be huge to me in the coming weeks, and obviously for the rest of the season, because there is zero room for error, in my opinion.
Hey, Coach, I got a non-Texas question. I think one of the topics, I was on air with Aaron, ESPN Radio in Austin this morning. We had a great discussion on TexasFootball.com about it. I think we're entering a vicious coaching carousel cycle in college athletics, especially football, basketball, because of the salaries of coaches, because of the salaries of college players, and because the portal creates a super duper hyped up instant gratification instead of just instant gratification. Like there is zero, I think maybe time given to people anymore. It's like hyper speed now, right? When you make more money, what the money some of these players are making. Oh, and then you can just go to the portal and fix everything immediately, or that's the thought. I think we're headed to a vicious coaching carousel in future years, and just guys getting fired. Kind of from a coaching perspective, what are your thoughts on? Look, and I'm not crying for guys that make. James Franklin's going to make $50 million to not coach at Penn State. We'd all take it, and we'd all take the firing and say, "Where do I sign?" Like Ed Orgeron once said. But from your perspective, you've been in those locker rooms at the University of Texas, right? I mean, you've had discussions with guys and your friends about this. What do you think of this, where we're at right now?
Yeah, I think it's I liken it to the idea of cloud seeding. When you seed a cloud, it's innocent enough, and this is what we expect it to do, help these farmers in these counties. And then all of a sudden you got a flood going down a river that you did not mean to create. And that's what we have now. And I think it's going to be a cycle, because people are going to realize you can't just you can't fire your coach this often. First of all, we can't afford it, because all these schools having to pay off these coaches. Then they're going to have to pay off the staff that they're bringing in, pay off their buyouts. And it's incredibly expensive. There's no way it can maintain itself. There's no way. And so I don't know where all these coaches are going to come from. I really don't. I asked Bobby that yesterday. I don't know where are these coaches going to come from, and it's certainly not sustainable, but it has created the portal, and NIL has created, it continues. It's almost like a black hole. It continues just to create itself and create other worlds that we didn't know about or weren't thinking about. And I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff underground with it that we're not privy to, that is probably not real. It's probably kind of ugly, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I think it's not sustainable, and it's nuts. But I do think colleges will figure out that, okay, we can't do this. We got to, we got to put some more money into the program and let this guy bring in some transfers out of the portal, because we can't do that. We can't keep doing it.
How many players could 50 million buy?
Yeah.
To your point, I
think what's going to go on in college sport, it's creating instant apathy. I think that's what's going on. So like the next Penn State coach, okay, James Franklin, whether he won the big games or not, the guy still won 2 Fiesta Bowls. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have been fired. I'm just talking about the situation that's about to happen at Penn State, right? He still won 100+ games. He run multiple Fiesta Bowls, Rose Bowls, a couple of college football playoff games. We all know why he got fired. But now the next coach, what's the fan base going to think? Oh, the next guy is going to be the one to get us over the top. That is what this hire set up to do. The firing of James Franklin, who got close, but he couldn't get him over the hump. Now the next guy is going to be the answer. And if that guy can go 11-3 with 2 playoff appearances in 4 years and 2 9-3s, and they're going to want the guy fired, because this is set up to be the guy that gets you over the top. And it very rarely happens that somebody gets somebody all the way over the top to win a national championship. I think because of the salaries, the NIL salaries in the portal, we're creating instant apathy amongst fan bases a lot of times coming up. That's where I think we're headed in college sports.
Yeah, I would say this too, and just knowing a little bit about that, James Franklin has a little Tom Herman to him. And what I mean by that, it's kind of his way or the highway among everybody, including donors. And so it often makes for some rifts in certain places. So you're also the thing about it now, and I've mentioned this too, Bob. The thing about college football right now, or at least in the last 5 years, in pro football, there's one owner. Jerry Jones decides where he's going to spend his money. In college football, there's about 10 to 15 guys that really help participate, along with the university itself. So I'm in the, everybody. I'm not trying to make this into some sort of, plot.
That has nothing to do with the fan base's reactions to new hires.
Yeah, exactly. And so those guys have to decide, a little bit like, how am I going to support this university? You go, 1-19 against top 25 team or 10 teams, whatever its crazy record was. And there's dissension inside the locker room after losing 3 straight. That's what it's going to go. Anyway, I want to say this, Bob, to your point. Penn State, these are the jobs that are open. Penn State, Virginia Tech, UCLA, what a turnaround that has been. Oregon State, and UAB. Those are the jobs currently open in college football. By the way, Mark Stoops' name has been mentioned at Virginia Tech. So
that'd be a great hire for Virginia.
Yeah, I
Tech.
think it would be too, probably for them. Get back to their roots a little bit, Coach. How do you? Have you ever? I don't know if you've ever had this issue, at least not as a head coach, where people are wanting your job mid-season. I think you have been on a Texas staff where they wanted someone's job at mid-season, right? I mean, well, I can't remember if it was Herman or Coach Strong when you were there, and it was kind of that turmoil.
Yeah.
What's it like inside? And I'm not saying that's a point at Texas, but at a Penn State or wherever. What's it like inside the facility when those sorts of conversations are happening? Are coaches aware of them? Are they maybe more cognizant? Oh, we better not do this. Are they timid, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's like farting at prom. I mean, everybody knows it, but nobody actually acts like they know it's there. It's like everybody knows it's going to happen. Everybody knows it's or that there's a possibility of it happening. You just don't talk about it. It's the elephant in the room that everybody knows, but
it's like you just don't.
Really
it's
sure
like
sacrilege
to even mention it, basically.
Yeah,
it's
it's not talk. No, it's not talk. I've never walked in a room and there was guys huddling around talking about it.
Right.
I mean, it's trust me, everybody in that building knows what the talk is outside the walls. What people are thinking about the program of the team. But honestly, anything like that I've been a part of, it's coaches hunkering down trying to figure out how to win a game. Because whether they get fired or not, they're going to try to get another job. And some people are going to want to look and see how they responded when everything looked pretty bleak. Did this guy give up? Did he keep coaching? Did he keep fighting? So I think it's just one of those things that, not that you don't have a close friend that may pull you over to the side and say, man, are we going to make this or whatever? But it's certainly not spoken out loud.
My mistake. I forgot to add Arkansas to that list of Penn State, Virginia Tech, UCLA, UAB, and Oregon State. It's a big list. All right,
and
Coach.
Florida's coming open in the next probably week and a half, apparently.
Who do they have? Who does Florida have this week?
Mississippi State at home, but didn't they have an off week before Georgia? And I was told yesterday that Florida deal could come down to when A&M fired Jimbo. They fired Jimbo before the LSU game, because if he beat LSU, then that's a tougher deal. There's talk out of Gainesville, and I'm not saying it's a lock, that they could do something with Napier before the Georgia game, because if he beats Georgia, then all bets are off. You either just need to decide you're making a move or you're not, because if he beats Georgia, wins a couple of games late, then you're suddenly at 7-5, 8-4, and then it makes it harder to make the move.
He ain't beating Georgia. All right. Thanks, Coach Shipley. I appreciate you very much, buddy.
You bet. Y'all have a good day.
All right, thanks. Cloud seeding, gravel lots, and farting at prom.
Yeah.
The king of metaphors today for Coach Shipley. Love it.
All right, guys. I'm going to tell everyone this morning about one of our sponsors. That's Prize Picks. We make decisions daily, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And with football now here, it's time for you to make that money. Prize Picks is simple. You're just going to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get them right, you cash in. It's the best way to get in on the sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and right here in Texas. And there's college football on tonight, even with it being a Tuesday. So I have Liberty quarterback Ethan Vasco to have less than 52.5 rushing yards, Arkansas State quarterback Jalen Rayner to have more than 244.5 passing yards, and New Mexico State quarterback Logan Fife to have at least 1 passing touchdown. Come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And Jerry, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Ridge this morning.
Yeah, I can. Well, I can do that. I gotta give me a second, and I will do that. Ridge Wallet, I think, is an unbelievable product they have there. Here's the thing with Ridge Wallet, guys. It is the best. It's the best wallet out there. Let's talk about the devices, though. Talk about how annoying it is that all your devices have different charging cords. Your phone, your headphones, your watch, your Kindle, all different. Honestly, it should be illegal. How is it that we have AI robots, but still have to travel with 5 cords tangled up in our bag just to keep our devices alive? Well, those days are over thanks to Ridge. Ridge is more than a wallet. Like I said, just like Ridge revolutionized the wallet, Ridge has now changed the game for portable charging. Ridge's 5-in-1 travel power bank has built-in cables and lets you charge all your devices at the same time with just one power bank and no extra cables. MagSafe wireless charging, Apple Watch charging, Lightning, USB-C, every way you need to charge, all in one premium device. No more juggling adapters and wall outlets at the airport just to get to 20%. Or hotels if you're traveling to Lexington this weekend. With 20 watts of power, it charges your phone as fast as it possibly can. And with 10,000 mAh capacity, you've got up to 3 full phone charges in your pocket. It's one thing to pack, 5 ways to power. You can find Ridge's power bank at Best Buy. Our listeners can get 10% off Ridge.com by using code ONTexas, all caps, at checkout. Just head to Ridge.com and use that code ONTexas, and you're all set. After you purchase, they will ask where you heard about them. Please support On Texas Football and tell them our show sent you over. I got to tell you, that seems like a good thing to travel with. You got road games to Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia coming up. This is probably a good product to take on the road.
Jenny Burton loves that charger.
They're awesome.
By the way, loves it.
They are awesome.
What about advanced pain care?
I was about to say, I'm going to let Colton Vince tell everyone about advanced pain.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. Advanced pain care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and advanced pain care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced pain care. The pain stops here.
All right. Thank them as well for sponsoring. Let's see here, guys. We got super chats. And I want to take this one from Greg here. It says, Bobby, you said the OU game was a culture test. Isn't this game just as much one regarding the team's tendencies to play down to competition?
I don't think Texas has. I think that's false. I don't think Texas has a tendency to play down to competition. They haven't the last couple of years. They maybe did that once this year against UTEP. But I don't. Texas kind of got over that tendency last year, in my opinion, to be honest. And so I haven't seen that. I think it's still a culture test to go up there and beat Kentucky? Absolutely, I do. I think every game is a culture test. But I don't think it's like last week where, frankly, your manhood was questioned by many. Last week, your manhood was questioned. This week, your consistency would be questioned. Like, what team really are you if you go up there and lay an egg? The witch is back. While that was on, Jerry put the witch back up. That's great.
Yeah, I give it the people what they asked for. Josie wanted to see if I was going to die on air eating salmonella corn dog yesterday. I gave that to him. So, shocking, an Oregon fan wanted to see if somebody was going to die on air.
If you're listening to the podcast and not on YouTube right now, Jerry has a witch because it is Halloween time. And he is there in the house, decorated with a Halloween witch in the background. And it was missing earlier, and it has now suddenly reappeared.
Yeah. Oh boy, they're scary. She just flew right up there. All right.
All right, guys. Mark in Austin. I gotta find his super chat because it didn't attach. He says, according to CJ's snap count, 23 snaps against OU used only one true defensive tackle. That was pass defense oriented. I assume that against Kentucky, it will be run oriented.
Great point. And yes, we talked about this yesterday, Bobby. Oklahoma could not run the football between the tackles. And once it was established early in the game, they could not run the football between the tackles. That freed up Texas to do some things schematically. Bobby mentioned, and I think CJ mentioned Rod too. Brad Spence actually on 1 3rd down lined up as a D tackle. So Texas was not fearful at all of Oklahoma's interior run game with the running backs. It was only the edge with Blaylock, not at all. By the way, ROI on Jade Knott, poor for those saying Jim Nagy should hire the next head coach at Oklahoma. Keep that one in your back pocket. But Kentucky's totally different, Bobby. And the second half of this schedule is going to be totally different. Everybody thinks about Mississippi State one way, but they want to run the football, right? Georgia is going to want to use that big offensive line and run the football. Vanderbilt with what they do offensively. Arkansas with Taylor Green, what they're going to do. And then A&M, while they are throwing it all over the lot, they're still their offensive line and their run game, even though Le'Veon Moss got hurt again against Florida. We'll see how he is. They're still based off the run game. So Oklahoma is the anomaly in terms of that. Kentucky's going to try to run the football and condense the game. Oklahoma didn't have that ability. So I do think you're going to see Travis Shaw, Cole Brevard, those guys, snap counts go up the second half of the season. The only way their snap counts go down is if Texas dominates first down run defense and forces into obvious passing downs and distances.
Then we have a couple regarding coaching changes, and so I'm going to group 2 of these together here. This first one from Juan Garza. Thank you, Juan. He says, let's rule leaves for Penn State. Who does Nebraska go after? And then on a related note, Blake May wants to know, with the job openings that y'all just talked about with Bob.
Oh, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, adding Oklahoma State and Arkansas, which program is the most highly sought after?
Oh, I think you got to go Penn State, man.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he'd been out of Oak State and Arkansas.
I would say Arkansas, but maybe not in this day of not wanting to play in the SEC if you don't have huge funds.
Especially when your AD comes out.
The Arkansas AD is bemoaning
the
idea that they don't have any funds for football or competitive funds, at least for football at this point.
Nothing makes you want to take your hand down and not raise it for the job more than when an AD says we're not set up to compete in the SEC.
Yeah.
Look, Nebraska, who would they go after? Who would they hire? I mean,
Jeff Traylor, GJ Kinney.
Traylor would be a great fit up there, by the way.
GJ Kinney would be a good fit. I think he'd bring something a little different to the Big Ten, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really thought much about Nebraska yet.
I think that one thing I will say with Rule, he did not say no to Penn State yesterday.
No,
he's not. I think if they offer him the job, he's not. I mean, I don't see how he takes turn.
Matt Campbell at Penn State, but
Matt Campbell at Nebraska would be interesting now.
But they're not gonna.
Nebraska has money there. They have money.
Well, they don't have enough. Apparently, that's one of the things Matt Rule said.
Yeah.
So. Nebraska has a certain way of things they want to do things, and that certain way may not be the way that the Ohio States of the world, who he's competing against, are doing them. So we'll see. I mean, look, I forgot about Oklahoma State, Jerry. That makes golly. I mean, 7 jobs that are other than UAB, which is a bad job. Oregon State, I guess, is a bad job, but Penn State, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Arkansas, Oklahoma State.
Florida's about to pop.
That's 6 Power 5 or Power 4 jobs, and we're 6 games in.
Yeah,
I think that maybe teams are doing this. We should talk about this at some point. I think teams are doing this in an effort to get ahead of the transfer portal because
100%.
Kids aren't going to. There's a 30-day transfer portal window. Well, they're not going to transfer mid-season.
Yeah.
So then you just have the normal transfer window that you have to deal with.
And high school signing day is the first week of December, too. So it's like you have to make moves earlier. And So if you're gonna pull the plug, you're gonna do it early and get on with the show. I'm remember that with Florida.
I want to say this. People are saying, what about Ben Arbuckle at Oklahoma, the offensive coordinator there? What's he done?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, how about here's the one. Jeff Lebby at Nebraska. Jeff Lebby might be due a upgrade. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, although he's a grad, might be due an upgrade. We'll see.
I mean, look, Florida State could come open too if they have the money. I mean, I mean, if they're in a 3-game losing streak, if they go 6-6, 7-5 this year after beating Alabama to start the year, Jeremiah Padgett hit Tulane. Summerall's going to get a Power 4 job.
He should.
He would be good at potentially in Nebraska, right? I mean, that's that will be interesting to see. But he's an up and comer for sure. The other thing is, when Florida comes open, then a Power 4 head coach is going to leave one school and go to Penn State. Same thing will happen at Florida. So this is going to be a pretty wild coaching carousel. And in the ones that are the lower level P4s, if they're forced to wait around, the South Florida coach may get it. Galesh, he'll try to get on in Florida, but I don't think he'll get it. But Galesh may get a job too. He could get an Ole Miss if Lane Kiffin left there potentially. But what's going to happen is the lower level P4s may get left holding the bag a little bit in the coaching carousel because they won't be able to make their hires unless they go for somebody kind of off the radar to prepare for the portal. That's the problem they're going to have is, because it's going to fall to Florida, Penn State, boom. If Rule goes from Nebraska to Penn State, then Nebraska job will jump over in Oklahoma State or something right now. And maybe even in Arkansas right now. What if Lane Kiffin leaves? What if he becomes the guy at Florida? Then Ole Miss is open. I mean, so if you're in that Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State territory, if it's me, I'm going with a guy I believe in. I'm not going to get caught in the coaching carousel and lose time. I'm going to go with maybe somebody mentioned Michael Vick. I'm not advocating that. But if a Virginia Tech has somebody they absolutely believe in, they may just go ahead and make their hire and not get caught up in the wash of the coaching carousel because you could get pushed down from a timing perspective and get in trouble with the portal.
Yeah. Bradford says, I thought OU hiring Ben Arbuckle would be a mistake for SEC play, especially to compete with Texas. Pete Kwiatkowski is a Pac-12 air raid killer.
Got to be able to run the football in the SEC, man, on some level.
Yeah.
And I put the answer in the chat. Jeff Carey, thank you for your super chat. Rules record top 25 is 2-23, and he's 0-11 against the top 10.
So again, this is like the setup for Penn State. If they hire Rule, what's the hype going to be? He's going to get us over the top.
Well, I want to say this: his coaching stops have been Temple, Baylor, and Nebraska.
I think none
of those places were exactly they weren't Penn State.
Yeah.
When he took those jobs.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little different. Good football. James Franklin, I know a lot of people are, well, he helped. James Franklin took us to another level at Penn State. Yeah, okay. But it wasn't. I mean, Baylor hadn't won a game when Rule took over, right?
Yeah.
He took over a Temple program that hasn't been good since he left. I think Rule gets a little more thing. Any other potential SC jobs that are open? I think that Ole Miss could be one if Lane Kiffin leaves for wherever.
A lot of people are asking about Auburn. But that's a tough one because he's got hosed this year. And I know people are, he picked Jackson on. I get it, but they still got hosed. And they've still got hosed in 2 games. Bobby,
it's not hard if you're in Auburn. Hey, Jerry, if you listen,
it changed wins and losses. It changed the outcome of the game with officiating. They should have 2 more wins. Bottom line. And I get what people are saying, but that's the bottom line. They've got hosed twice this year.
If you listened to his press conference yesterday, which I don't know if you did, but if you listened to his press conference yesterday, you might be singing a different tune because he literally blamed his players. I mean, he threw them under the bus.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying what you're saying. They have been hosed this year. There's no doubt. And
They were against Georgia.
yeah, I mean, that changed the outcome of the game, by the way. The plays against Oklahoma changed the outcome of the game. So I haven't seen a team get hosed like that. But yeah, look, if then you start cracking, then it makes the decision earlier. But I haven't seen a team get hosed. And it's not like I'm some Auburn fan saying that. It's just been pretty evident. It's been pretty evident to me.
Oh, you go 6-6. He's gone 7-5. I think Brent Venable's gone. I think he's got to win 3 more games, and I don't know that he will. We'll see.
Yeah.
We got people asking about Baxter this morning, such as Eddie here with the super chat. What's the status of Cedric Baxter, not just this week, but his long-term outlook?
Great question, and that is one of the key things that we're following this week, Eddie. Obviously, they are practicing, I think, right now, and I don't know so we don't know, and it would be the first true practice of the week. So I don't know, and we don't know if Cedric Baxter is back on the practice field. I do think that there was a thought that he could be back for Kentucky. And this was as late last week, like Thursday, Friday. Okay. I don't have new information since then on Cedric Baxter. Obviously, the first injury report will come out on Wednesday from Steve Sarkisian, and we'll probably hear more then. But it's a great question. And I don't know the answer because practice is actually going on right now while we're on this show. So it will be one of the key things that we follow, because I will tell you, Jerry mentioned this yesterday. I completely agree with him. You don't want Trey Wisner carrying the ball 22 times every single week. His body's not made for that. And he needs a partner in crime. If it's not going to be James Simon, and which I think Wisner and Simon are very similar. Baxter's that bigger guy that might be able to handle more carries. And I will say it's been a hamstring for Baxter. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. And by the way, I do not agree with this. Save Baxter, South KMX, save Baxter for Georgia. No, this team can't save anybody for anything. They are still a young team, and they need to go after it.
I think Sark gives pretty good hints in press conferences. We're going to see more James Simon moving forward to take some of those carries off guys. I mean, I think we're going to see more James Simon moving forward. Even if it's 5 or 6, 7, 8 carries, I think we're going to see more James Simon to help keep those guys fresh.
All right, Jerry, tell everyone how they can keep their vehicle fresh with our good friends at South Point Dodge.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I mean, yes, I can. South Point Dodge. When I find the read, I was doing Mark Saunders. So, all right, Texas football fans, score an easy point this season when you get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in an all-new Ram proven to last. Plus, you can get employee incentive pricing. That's right. You pay what our employees pay. Now that's the real deal. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Come see us off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge.
And Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Duck Camp.
Yeah, absolutely. Duck Camp makes gear for folks who live for being out there. I'm wearing some Duck Camp stuff right now, whether that's in a duck line at sunrise or on the 40 acres for a Saturday kickoff. Born right here in Austin, Duck Camp builds best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel that works just as well for a full day in the field as it does for a long day of tailgating. From sun protection shirts that keep you cool during those early season scorchers to their iconic game series hats that feel like instant classics, Duck Camp gear is ready for football season, hunting season, and every season in between. Get out there and stay out there and hook them. Shop Duck Camp at duckcamp.com. Special offer for folks who are On Texas football members. Use promo code ONTexas25 for 25% off. This is awesome stuff and gear you won't find anywhere else. I really love it. On Texas 25. That's the promo code for 25% off of everything over at duckcamp.com.
And Jerry, back to you one more time to tell us about Mark Saunders.
Now I'm ready for my Mark Saunders. He's one of my favorites, guys. When it comes to protecting all your stuff, wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects it all? Well, we have the guy for you, Texas alum and Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders. He serves the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas. That means he's the only insurance agent you'll need. Everything from your home, car, and boat to your motorcycle, RV, and ATV. Call Texas All-State agent Mark Saunders' office today, 512-218-8571. With more than 35 years of experience, you know you'll be in great hands with Texas alum Mark Saunders. We saw at one of our kickoff with Third and Longhorns in Austin, a number of people met Mark Saunders. He was there that day, ended up calling Mark Saunders, and he took care of all their insurance needs. So give him a call today, 512-218-8571.
Thank you, Jerry. Now we're going to jump right back into some super chats this morning. We've got a couple about Justice Terry, such as Jay Lee here saying, "What's up with Terry? I'm worried about him leaving if he doesn't get more snaps the second half of this season. Surely we can find 7 to 10 snaps a game." Derek Smith as well. Thank you for yours. And he wants to know if y'all have any update on Terry and Jonah Williams.
So I want to first of all start with this. The person that the player that I mentioned at the start of this, who I think is going to take a red shirt and going to enter the portal, is not a true freshman. That's not who I'm talking about. I think, Jerry, you good with me?
Yes.
Divulging that. So while y'all are worried about who this might be, it's not a true freshman. That doesn't mean that they don't have to be worried about those guys, because this is college football in 2025. And Texas and Brandon Harris and Chris Gilbert, Aaron Joe and Josh Dunson, they all have to worry about that stuff right now. I mean, this is a year-to-year contract, and we'll see. So what's up with Justice Terry? I mean, I'm told they love him, and they're trying to find more snaps. Lance Jackson was the better use against Oklahoma. And as far as Jonah Williams is concerned, look, I mean, is he going to play ahead of Michael Taft, who's a 3-year or effectively a 2.5-year starter, Jelani McDonald, who's a 1.5-year starter, Derek Williams, who is a 1.5-year starter, and Xavier Fasami, who's been coming on. And so a little bit of a log jam there. I think next year may be the year for Jonah Williams.
Yeah. And as far as Justice Terry, it's he's in a tougher spot this year. And we talked about it because he's learning 2 positions his first year in college while he's maintaining his weight. I think he's around 275, 277 in that area. So he's maintained his weight because remember, he was 258 pounds when he got to Austin. And so he got up into the low 270s. He's maintained that. So he's kind of that in-between guy that he works out at edge. He sits in the interior D-line meeting rooms. He's working out on the interior too. But this is kind of a building year for him. He needs to get up in that 290 range. And I know he obviously looks like he is Planet Fitness. He is the first guy off the bus, but he's still got to add weight to that frame. So it's a patience and learning year, which is interesting in college football for guys that walk out of high school saying, I'm going to be a 3-year player. So you still have to have patience in this game. My thought is, I'm sure Kenny Baker and that staff saying, look at what's happening for Hero Canoe here.
Yeah.
So just have some patience. Let us develop you and look at what you can become, but maybe the pass rush with pass rush on top of it, which means you're a high draft pick.
We're going to stay on defense for a little bit. Humble Hustle, thanks for your super chat, says, should they use Anthony Hill more like Micah Parsons and move him around and stop playing him off the ball so much? Need to find a way for him to be more involved.
Here is what I would say to that. I just want him in the box.
Yeah.
What some teams have done against Anthony Hill is move him out of the box when they motion running backs out. That's where I think he's got some weakness, because even though he's athletic, he's not natural in pass coverage.
No.
And that's not a knock on him. It's just not. I mean, Ty Anthony Smith is, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets his hands on the ball more, et cetera, on a per snap basis. I would like to see, I don't know whether they move him around, quote unquote, as much as I just want to see him in the box at the snap. That's my personal big, because I think he can spy great. I think he's a great pass rusher. I think he's gotten so much better against the run. That would be my one piece for that.
And I mean, look, there's a couple of things that have happened this year I just wouldn't have believed if you'd told me. 6 games into the season, Anthony Hill doesn't have a sack. I would not have believed that this season. And I know he's trying to develop, and Texas is trying to help him develop as an all-around linebacker. I want to see Anthony Hill hitting quarterbacks. He had 8.5 sacks.
Me too.
He had 8.5 sacks last year.
Yeah.
He's got 0 through 6 games.
Yeah. He's I will say this though, Jerry, and I think you would agree. He's proven to be a more well-rounded linebacker this year than he was a year ago. Now, last year, to your point, he had a little bit of a superpower with the sacks. So you're taking that away. But I think he's been a better all-around linebacker this year.
Let's jump over to offense now. Leandrew25, thank you for your super chat. Says, good morning, fellas. Just wanted to ask, why do you think it takes so long for the guys to score touchdowns early? Too many games the last few seasons, they don't score until the second or third quarter.
Has it been a great offense? How about that? I mean, Texas has not had a prolific offense the last 2 seasons. Now, in one of those seasons, they've been in the national semifinals. But I don't know if there's a reason for that. I mean, red zone woes, Jerry, we've talked about a number of different things. We'll see. I don't have the exact offense. I don't have the exact answer, but I do believe that Texas just has not had what I would call a prolific offense.
And then Jay Lee with another super chat says, do you agree our wide receivers don't do a good job of getting open?
I don't agree with you. I just talked about that. I thought they did a great job. I mean, look, Parker, the amount of open they're going to be is going to be relative compared to who they're playing against. One of the things I mentioned is on those scramble drills, Arch found a Ryan Wingo. Ryan Wingo was open on that comeback route that put Texas in field goal range. DeAndre Moore was open on the scramble drill. I mean, Texas receivers are getting open. Are they, Devontae Adams? No. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks Texas has that level of player right now, but I think Texas receivers are getting open. I don't think that's the problem. The biggest problem thus far in the passing offense has been Arch's inaccuracy early.
Yeah.
And timidness or yips or whatever you want to call it. And then against Florida, it was pass protection. Since that time, I don't think it's been on the receivers per se.
Yeah.
They're also being asked to run longer routes.
Yes, longer developing route.
So got to remember that too.
All right. Drew Lockhart says the average point differential in the NFL is 10.8. Average point differential in the SEC is 10.6. As of last week, the competition, talent, and parity is real.
Do you have that for Drew? That's a good stat. Do you have that for any other conference?
It's a good, really good stat.
Yeah, and I would actually say you want the mean, not the median, right? That would be another thought. But it's a good stat, interesting one, if it plays out to other conferences.
And then Trace here with super chat says, don't sweat weather sources, Blake. Astrologists outguess meteorologists about half the time, and both Doppler and Zodiac predict Texas over Kentucky.
Interesting.
Thank you for that, Trace. Appreciate it. And by the way, Bobby, ACC average point differential 4.5, Big 12 4.4.
See,
Wow.
It's more about median, not mean. If I'm using those terms correctly.
So that's all I got for you on that, though. All right. And any given Saturday says, what do you guys think the story will be with Penn State's running backs? Final year, top tier, right?
They're gone. They're done. So they're Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are both seniors.
Yeah,
that was the thing. That was the other thing, and why why it's fallen apart. I mean, they brought back Drew Allar, who could have gone pro. They brought back 2 running backs that could have gone pro.
Yeah.
That's why Penn State's fallen.
Yeah.
I mean, they spent a lot of money on retention, and they didn't get what they asked for.
And by the way, Katron Allen, really, really, really good player.
Very talented.
Through all the he's the kind of the guy I hope James Simon gets to be as he gets older and adds 10 pounds to his frame. They're very similar styles. Seeing Katron Allen at IMG. Katron Allen still averaged 6.7 yards a pop this year through all the crap season. 6.7 a pop. I mean, he's still productive. 70 for 467, and he's putting it on the board. And there's a lot of Penn State fans who are upset he was not the guy they were leaning on in games.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, by the way, Zane, I don't know if this actually rule has been implemented. I think it got approved, but I don't know if it goes into effect yet. Kids can't transfer 30 days after the coach is fired anymore. It's a new rule. I do think it's a new rule, and I know it got passed, but I don't know if it's actually implemented yet. If it is, my apologies. But the new rule is going to be players can only transfer 5 days after the new coach is hired. I mean, look, if that's the case, I'm not, and I may fire my coach after the portal window is closed and after the start of the new semester where they can't transfer anywhere. I may not hire a new coach until like February 10th.
Somebody's going to try that.
I mean, that's just a horrible rule. I mean, the NCAA is just so bad. The rules committee is so bad. They just every which way they can to figure something out, man. Every which way. I understand the intent of the rule as well. At least you should give the new coach a chance. But I mean, that's not fair. You're going to hold those kids hostage, and what happens if you're a big-time quarterback and you'd really ideally like to stay, but 10 other quarterback jobs are out there and you don't get a chance at those? It's not fair. Anyway, sorry.
That job could open too, Michigan.
Really?
There's some chatter. I'm not saying it is, but there is chatter out there.
That's what happens when you lose to USC. Notre Dame is a big game this weekend as well.
Huge game. For the 12-team playoff, by the way, USC and Notre Dame is a huge game because if Notre Dame wins, they're going 10-2 and they're going to be in.
Okay, Bobby, tell us about Texas Road one more time, please, sir.
Yeah, absolutely can do that. Rick Vavro has been sponsoring, and his companies have been sponsoring On Texas Football for almost 2.5 years now. We appreciate him and his group very much. With the full support of multiple crews performing utility, dirt work, concrete, and asphalt, Texas Road provides on-site concrete through volumetric trucks for smaller volumes. They're able to complete road building in a high-profile environment. If you need large road projects done, there's no one better than TexasRoad.com. That's Texas-road.com. Also, check out Rick's bar out in Jonestown, Lone Star Bar, 27-degree cold beer out there in Jonestown.
And then our next super chat this morning comes from Brian. Brian says Jackson's production with limited snaps is elite.
Yeah.
I was trying to find, we had an internal text yesterday, Jerry, that had his stats, and they are elite is not even the right word for what he has done. I mean, it's phenomenal. Do you have those, Jerry? Do you know where those are or where we had those?
I don't have his season snap count, but I mean, he's credited with 8 tackles.
Here it is.
Sack and a half, multiple pressures, TFLs.
Here on Saturday, Lance Jackson had 11 snaps.
Yeah.
4 QB pressures, 2 QB hits, and 1 QB sack. In 11 plays, 4 QB pressures, 2 QB hits, and 1 sack. That is, Brian Alfaro, that is elite. That's the definition of it.
And then Isaiah wants to know, do we lose to Georgia?
Maybe. They would Texas will definitely be the underdogs going to Athens if things hold right now.
Yeah,
like if that game were this week, there's no doubt Georgia would be favored. No doubt.
What'll be interesting is with that game, there's no way to know because you get later in the season, injuries can impact these games so much. But there's There's one thing I know about that game. Kirby Smart will protect against Texas. Georgia will probably play their best game of the year if they're healthy enough. That place is going to be electric. Kirby's going to have the whole team and us against the world mentality. He's going to have that place just fired up for that game. No doubt. Texas is the one. It's not Nick Saban anymore. It's Texas that's coming in that has Tyler Atkinson committed that embarrassed him on SEC Media Day with James Johnson flipping too. There's going to be a lot with Kirby in this game. The interesting thing is schedule-wise. Texas has a week off before Georgia. Georgia has Florida on the 1st, at Mississippi State on the 8th, and then Texas on the 15th. So Texas has a little advantage, depending. We'll see where these teams are at. The fact that they have an off week before this game and Georgia plays on the road against an improved team the week after Florida, Texas has a little advantage, but that place is going to be on fire for that game. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
I agree with Jerry. It's going to be a tough game because what Georgia does, it's something that could be difficult for Texas, and that's they lean on people.
Yeah.
Successfully. And they've got a quarterback that manages the offense. So you're going to have to score. Like I would say normally in a Georgia game, you're looking for 20 points. I think you're going to have to go and score 28 to 30 plus in Athens, which is a tall order. As we know, Georgia has a really good, just really talented defense.
Yeah.
All right. Jeff Carey with another super chat says, I love the ACC's transparent instant play review.
I love it too. I wish. Can you imagine if they would have had that? Because Jerry, you and I were watching that Auburn Georgia game with the fumble over the end zone. We mentioned that a little bit. If the ACC right now, if people haven't heard it, you can actually hear headquarters reviewing the play. Okay, and the people reviewing the play in real time. If the SEC would have had that for that Auburn Georgia fumble, that would have been like unbelievable. Listen, viewing, etc. They got to do that next year, I think. It just has to change. It's so much better than listening to Mike Pereira come on and talk about what he may or may not think. I mean, that's just,
by the way, with all the controversy, that's the way it should be now.
yes. Transparency is the great elixir.
It started for me with the LSU non-TD catch against Clemson this year. We need to hear the explanations in real time
from the horse's mouth.
Yes,
as opposed
100%.
to this. Yeah, I would love for that to be the case. I think it'll make football better. By the way, because no offense to all these guys that come on there and tell you, well, I think it's this, or I think that this. Let's hear from the guys that are actually making the decisions.
Yeah.
And our final one for today is from Taylor Johnson from Rainy, Louisiana. Where do you think Mike Gundy goes?
Is that Louisiana or L.A.?
I figured Louisiana since they didn't put the dots in between, but I don't know.
L.A. doesn't rain very much.
If I'm Mike Gundy, I'm going to fish and hunt.
People are thinking maybe Arkansas, I think, right?
Well, Cale Gundy's claims he's going to coach again, so,
I mean, do you want it?
Do you want Arkansas?
Do you want Mike Gundy? Has college football passed him by a little in the new age of NIL and transfer portal?
I mean, he'd be a good hire at like Virginia Tech, like somewhere like that, like him or Mark Stoops. But I don't know. He'd be re-energized, I think, there's no doubt he'd be re-energized. And I think he's a tremendous football coach. But again, he's got to be in the right place to play. Arkansas, Virginia Tech. But the Arkansas thing is, if I'm a coach, I know $6 million to $7 million a year changes everything for guys, but you're pretty much taking the money with the expectation you're eventually going to get fired at Arkansas. But when the AD comes out and says, we're just not where we need to be to compete. And I know he's trying to get funds for his next coach, but man, that's a tough one.
Anybody want to? All Bobby Petrino needs to do is win 2 of his last 6, and he's going to get that job, I bet. Because they're not going to have a better solution. So that's my guess.
Well, he has a big one this weekend. A&M's coming to town.
Yeah.
And then he's got Auburn and Mississippi State. He's got 3 home games in a row.
Is that A&M game now in Fayetteville? Or
yes.
Is it
first year, it's first year it goes home and home.
Yes, as opposed to Jerry World.
Yeah. Yep. 2:30 game on ESPN right before the Texas game.
All right, y'all. That's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Texas Road. We want to thank Texas Road along with Prize Picks, Ridge Wallet, South Point Dodge, Mark Saunders, Advanced Pain Care, and Duck Camp, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post content, whatever it may be. That way you don't miss a thing. Bobby, what do you have for people later today?
Yeah, absolutely, Blake. We have a recruiting breakdown. Jerry, we didn't even get to recruiting today, and we had said we wanted to get to it, and it just kind of ran out of time here. Jerry's going to have a recruiting breakdown. He's talking about the offensive line, I think, and some other guys that he wants to talk about, including a guy committed elsewhere right now that the Longhorns are trying to do well with. Then we also have the nightly live stream. Amanda Atwell, along with CJ Vogel and Jeff Howe, will be on tonight to talk to you guys. And we may have another special video coming up for you guys as well. We appreciate y'all joining us every morning here at Coffee and Football.
And don't forget to join us as well on ontexasfootball.com. If you're not a member, use promo code OTFOG when you sign up. You'll get a full year of access for just $39.95. That's for new subscribers only. On TexasFootball.com, promo code OTFOG. Well, we will be back tomorrow morning. Hope you all have an outstanding day today. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.